Hello, Tom, and of course, greetings and salutations to all of my excellent friends out there on the interwebs. So, Tom, for this week's topic, you chose the hwayshik or company party, and I really thought your information about public school expectations was really interesting. It's something I have no basis of comparison. So, if you're watching this video and you haven't seen Tom's, make sure you click the annotation. Now, for me, I've actually held three different kinds of jobs while here in Korea, and I've worked at a private hagwon, I've worked for a university and still work there, and I've also worked for a radio station, and I actually hold a radio station job right now. So I'm going to answer my half of the conversation based on those three different kinds of jobs. So let's talk about the hagwon. So I've had a couple different kind of hagwon jobs, but essentially the job I held the longest was about 2.5 years, and we had company parties usually twice a year, maybe 3 times a year, based on staff coming and goings. So our hwayshiks were usually in the summer and in the winter, right before vacation time. So basically the last day of school before vacation, we'd go out as a group, the entire school, and have samgyeopsal and beer, soju, and that was pretty much about it. Now, I will say that there was no expectation to drink while I was at the school, mainly because our school owner didn't drink alcohol. It wasn't that he was opposed to drinking alcohol, it was just that he just didn't handle it well. He actually got very, very sick drinking alcohol, so he just didn't partake. So there was really no pressure for anyone to drink anything. We actually had an open bar at those types of events. It was really nice. As much as you can eat, as much as you can drink. And some people did take that to the extreme and got very, very drunk, very, very ill. But a lot of times what we would do is try to watch them and make sure no one got to that stage of excess. If someone wants to get to that stage, you really can't stop them. But as a group, we would really try to focus and keep people within, I would say, normal behavior. Following dinner, a lot of times we would have an icha or second round, and that would, of course, involve going to a noraebang. Now, since I work at a hagwon or worked at a hagwon, I worked 4 to 10-ish, so we wouldn't start our company event until about 10:30 in the evening, which meant that we would typically wind things up about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And as I said, we only did this twice a year before the vacation, and if we had a native teacher come or go, we'd have one more event. Typically, there would be an overlap as someone left and as the new teacher came, so it'd be this a kind of combination, a leaving party and a welcoming party at the same time. So it was a lot of fun. At the university where I currently teach, it is a Christian university, and we don't have any drinking events as organized by the university. We do have 2 meetings a semester as a department, and following those meetings we will have a galbi buffet. It's a lunchtime event, and that's it. Now, I will say that as instructors, some of us do get together from time to time and go have a few beers, but nothing like a really big organized event. It's just us as individuals, as co-workers going out and having a beer. That's it. For the radio station, I have been invited to a number of hwayshiks at different radio stations. Sometimes I haven't been able to participate in them just because of travel plans, but I will tell you that they're a lot of fun. And typically on the shows that I work on, I am a guest. I'm not the main host. I'm a guest on the show. So I don't get a chance to interact with the other guests on a regular basis. So at the hwayshik, it's a lot of fun because, yeah, you have the PDs, you have the writers, and you have the hosts that I see all the time. But the guests on the other days of the week, I don't get to see that often. So it's like the only time I can get and mingle with them and have a good time. So a lot of times we'll get together based on the time on the show. The hwayshik differs a little bit. But we'll get together and have a nice dinner, have a few drinks, and then, of course, usually have an icha, second event. Now, probably the longest hwayshik I've ever been on was a number of years ago when I worked for a different radio station. And we started at 6:30 p.m. And that was the ilcha, the first round. And that was a really long event. We stayed there for a number of hours. And then we went to Icha, second round, and we stayed there for maybe an hour or so. And then we went to Samcha, third round, and we stayed there for a fair amount of time as well. So we started at 6:30 p.m. I finally left Seoul to come back to Dongtan around 2 o'clock in the morning. So we're talking about an 8-hour event. It was really long. It was a lot of fun, drank a lot of alcohol that night. But the nice thing was that we were all chipping in, making sure no one got really, really drunk. Had a lot of food there to absorb the alcohol, keep us going. And it was one of the best events I ever had. It really allowed me to get to know everyone else on the show and really just sit down and talk, because a lot of times at work, whether it be at the Hagwon, at the university, or at the radio station, we're so focused on our particular task that you don't have a time to really mingle and get to know the other person outside of the work environment. And that's really what these events are all about. It's not about getting sloshed. It's not about just going and doing some kind of company event. It's really about sitting down and getting to know your coworkers and fostering tighter and more cohesive relationships in your work group. And I really appreciate that. It's something that I think more groups should do. Now, before I go today, I do want to say that some groups and some people do take this to the extreme. And a few years ago, Samsung actually introduced a policy. I don't know if it's still in effect, but they call it the 119 event, or 119 policy. And here in Korea, 119 is the emergency number analogous to 911 in the United States. So essentially what this was, when you had a company party at Samsung, you had one event, you had one type of alcohol, and it had to be finished by 9 p.m. at night. And that was the rule, because a lot of times at big corporations, they would go out for hours at a time, and people would just get completely hammered and they'd be forced to go back to work the next morning. So the hope was that, to make things better for families and to save off the risk of poor behavior with alcohol, you just limit it to one event, one type of alcohol, and have it finished by 9 p.m. So I thought that was a great idea. So, great topic. And of course, if you have any stories of drinking in Korea or company drinking events, be sure to leave it down in the comment section. Now, until next time, thank you so much for watching. Stay true to yourself. And as always, be awesome.